King Saul and the Witch of Endor. Today we will talk about one of the things abhorred by God: witchcraft. In various passages of the Bible, God through his prophets condemns any act of witchcraft, whether divinations, spirit invocations, or the like. And in a moment of fear and despair, the first king of Israel, King Saul, seeks a witch to speak to the late prophet Samuel. The Bible tells us that the end of the story was terrible and cruel to Saul for his disobedience. I ask that you already subscribe to the channel, leave your like and share this word to evangelize as many brothers as possible. Let's take today's word. Saul was first chosen by God to be king over Israel. Saul was the son of Kish, a man of many estates of the tribe of Benjamin. The name Saul, or Saul, in Hebrew means request to God. In 1 Samuel 8, the people of Israel said that they wanted a king, although the prophet Samuel had advised otherwise. When Samuel grew old, he appointed his sons as Israel's leaders. The name of his firstborn was Joel and the name of his second was Abijah, and they served at Beersheba. But his sons did not follow his ways. They turned aside after dishonest gain and accepted bribes and perverted justice. So all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah. They said to him, "You are old, and your sons do not follow your ways. Now appoint a king to lead us, such as all the other nations have." But when they said, "Give us a king to lead us," this displeased Samuel, so he prayed to the Lord. And the Lord told him, "Listen to all that the people are saying to you. It is not you they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their king. As they have done from the day I brought them up out of Egypt until this day, forsaking me and serving other gods, so they are doing to you. Now listen to them, but warn them solemnly and let them know what the king who will reign over them will claim as his rights." 1 Samuel 8 verses 1 to 9. Chapter 9 of Samuel teaches us how the Lord loves his people, as we see that even if the people of Israel had not followed the counsel of the Lord, he still helped inspire his prophet to choose and prepare a king for them. "About this time tomorrow I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin. Anoint him ruler over my people Israel, he will deliver them from the hand of the Philistines. I have looked on my people, for their cry has reached me." When Samuel caught sight of Saul, the Lord said to him, "This is the man I spoke to you about, he will govern my people." 1 Samuel 9 verses 16 to 17. After being anointed as king of Israel, Saul obtained several conquests, being a humble king and always following the advice of God through the prophet Samuel. Samuel, the most influential prophet of God at the time, said that Saul was small in his own eyes during this early phase. In his first great task was a great leader. God was with Saul and his soldiers, and they delivered the city from Ammonite aggression. With this demonstration of competence, Saul gained the support of the nation and was well accepted as king. But with the achievements came pride and disobedience. He began to worry more about himself, forgetting God and the people, which reminds us a lot of today's leaders. As a humble leader, he became a terrible king, committing grave acts of disobedience. Saul began to think he could walk without God. He begins to do things without consulting the prophet and proceeds to do it his way, believing that he would achieve the same result. He offered sacrifices without authorization in the battle against the Philistines. Kings had no right to offer sacrifices in favor of the community. Kings could offer sacrifices for themselves, but never for the nation. This was done only by priests. And in the battle against the Amalekites, he received clear orders to destroy all that people, leave nothing. Saul ambushes the Amalekites, and prevails against them. However, he keeps alive Agag, king of Amalek, and, not being enough, also keeps the best of sheep, cows, lambs, and all that was best in Amalek. Only vile and despicable things are destroyed. From there, the Lord tells Samuel that he had repented of having made Saul king. God did not reject Saul, but his ministry, his reign. Disobedience was, and is, inadmissible to those who really want to serve God and be under his protection. When Samuel goes to meet Saul, and sees that he spared part of the flock and the king of the Amalekites, he tries to justify himself. Saul justifies himself to Samuel about the cows and sheep, because the people saved, to offer them to the Lord. He still tries to blame the people, forgetting that he was the leader. Then Samuel says the wise phrase, "Obedience is better than sacrifice." Samuel said, "Although you were once small in your own eyes, did you not become the head of the tribes of Israel? The Lord anointed you king over Israel. And he sent you on a mission, saying, 'Go and completely destroy those wicked people, the Amalekites, wage war against them until you have wiped them out.' Why did you not obey the Lord? Why did you pounce on the plunder and do evil in the eyes of the Lord?" "But I did obey the Lord," Saul said. "I went on the mission the Lord assigned me. I completely destroyed the Amalekites and brought back Agag their king. The soldiers took sheep and cattle from the plunder, the best of what was devoted to God, in order to sacrifice them to the Lord your God at Gilgal." But Samuel replied, "Does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like the evil of idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king." 1 Samuel 15 verses 17 to 23. After this episode, God abandoned Saul. By disobeying, Saul had his reign cancelled. Verse 35 says, "Until the day Samuel died, he did not go to see Saul again, though Samuel mourned for him. And the Lord regretted that he had made Saul king over Israel." This disobedience was the last straw, for God would take his spirit from Saul. The rupture between God and Saul is undoubtedly one of the saddest occurrences in Scripture. Saul's last years were deeply tragic, as he went through periods of deep manic depression. However, it was David, a young man brought to the king's court, who became a calming influence on the troubled king by playing music that temporarily restored his sanity. But when he realized David's potential, he began to pursue him. Because of this, the Philistines saw there an opportunity to attack Israel. Samuel had already died, and Saul, seeing his enemies, becomes desperate and does the improbable. When Saul saw the Philistine army, he was afraid, terror filled his heart. He inquired of the Lord, but the Lord did not answer him by dreams or Urim or prophets. Saul then said to his attendants, "Find me a woman who is a medium, so I may go and inquire of her." "There is one in Endor," they said. 1 Samuel 28 verses 5 to 7. He, who had cast out all the sorcerers and seers of Israel, disguises himself and goes out in the dead of night to Endor to find some sorcerer or witch who brings the spirit of Samuel. The sin of sparing Agag, the Amalekite king, seemed mild. Now Saul was really seeking help from the occult in his hour of despair. This was the logical conclusion of his previous sin. Saul finds the sorceress and instructs the witch to summon Samuel, since the prophet Samuel had recently died. Then comes a spirit that claims to be the prophet. We don't know if God allows this to happen, or if it was some demon impersonating Samuel. But that brings nothing good to Saul. The spirit proclaims that the Lord will deliver both Israel and you into the hands of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. The Lord will also give the army of Israel into the hands of the Philistines. 1 Samuel 28 verse 19. Upon hearing this, Saul panics in despair. He loses his strength and reasoning. Saul's story ends the next day with his inglorious death in battle against the Philistines. His 3 sons died with him. Here is the lesson for all of us. The wise phrase of the prophet Samuel: "Obedience is better than sacrifice, and submission is better than the fat of rams. After turning away from the living Lord, Saul became so desperate that he sought guidance from a dead man. It was no use, for he and his sons died the next day. Thank you for watching until the end. We hope you learned something about the Bible today. Help us by liking the video, subscribing to the channel and sharing. Until the next video. May the peace of God be with you.